What's better than ranking palettes from 1 month? It's ranking palettes from 2 months. You guys know I'm a little bit behind, so I decided to rank my June palettes and my July palettes in one video. So if you want to see me rank some palettes, then just keep watching. If you guys aren't in my channel, welcome. My name is Karen Harris. I like to film tan girl friendly makeup videos here on YouTube. I do post quite often, so I highly recommend subscribing, turning on that bell so you're notified every time I post. And without further blabbering, let's get into it. Okay, so today I have 2 months worth of palettes to rank, and I don't know, I've never done this before. I've never put both months in one video. I was contemplating filming 2 videos and just posting them at separate times, but July was a little light on palettes. I honestly don't know how I only tried out so few palettes in July, but it is what it is. Let's just go ahead and see what I got up to in the month of June, and then we'll hit up July. So I have 12 palettes to rank in the month of June, and I'm going to start off with number 12. I'm going to give it to the Sweet Aesthetics palette from DD Signature. This is a beautiful rainbow palette, and they came out with this because they also launched some really beautiful eyeshadow bases, as well as a really pretty like rainbow single shadow that you could use with these mattes. It also pairs really well with the other palette you're going to see from DD Signature in July, but we're just talking about the matte palette. Now I'm ranking this in 12th place because I love a good mix of shimmers and mattes, and honestly, I'm a bit of a magpie. I do love a shimmer heavy palette over a matte palette. So that's why I'm ranking this in the 12th spot. And as always, there's so many good palettes in these 2 months. So the competition is very fierce, and I feel bad because this is not a bad palette by any means, but I have to rank them somehow. So this is in 12th place. I'm putting the Lost Kingdom palette by Clarity Cosmetics in 11th place because I'm just worried about this formula. It is very soft, and I don't know how careful you have to be to make sure these palettes just stay intact. But even mine, it's brand new and it's already kind of getting flaky. So for that reason, I am quite nervous about it. I think this is a really cute color story. They did launch 2 other palettes, and they did like a whole underwater theme with this launch. So I thought that was really cute, and this is a really cute concept. They do have nice shimmers and mattes, but because I feel like the formula is just a little bit temperamental, I guess, for lack of a better word, I'm ranking this at number 11. Okay, in 10th place is this guy from Lethal Cosmetics. Now the formula of this palette is excellent, and you will see the rest of these palettes ranked much higher, but I had to rank this in 10th place because I just feel like this color story is not my favorite, and it wouldn't have felt right ranking these with the other 3 palettes because I love those ones so much. In 9th place, it is the Nomad palette. This one has a very chaotic layout to it. I mean, you can kind of see there's like the Mojito palette and then just like the sun and the sand inspired palette. So there are like 2 distinctive color stories in it, but it's definitely a big, colorful, jumbled palette, and I know some of you love that. Some of you like a more gradient layout, so it just kind of depends. I did create 3 looks with this palette, and I really like how they turned out. The quality is nice. It's the same Nomad quality that we're used to, so this is a cute palette, but I'm ranking it at number 9. Okay, you're gonna see a few more kind of boring palettes in the next couple. So 8th place is the Natasha Denona Golden palette. This is just a nice solid neutral palette, and Natasha Denona does have good quality. I think the packaging is really nice. I don't really have that much to say about it other than it's a nice neutral palette. I don't feel like it lived up to what I was expecting because it's supposed to be like the rebirth of the gold palette, which is such an iconic palette. So this one definitely didn't do it justice, but as a standalone neutral palette, I feel like it's a nice palette. Okay, in 7th place is the Sigma Cool Neutrals palette. I've talked about this palette so many times now. I feel like you guys are probably sick of hearing me talk about it. It's a nice cool tone palette. I'll just leave it at that. for now. Okay, in 6th place, we have the Solman 2 palette from Odin's Eye. This is another palette that was revamped because they did have a previous Solman 2. They do look pretty close. I did hold them up side by side in my video on this palette, and they are slightly different, but not like super duper different, but definitely a more updated version of the original. I think this is a beautiful palette. It's not really like cool tones and it's not really like warm tones, but it's like a perfect colorful blue purple neutrally palette that isn't leaning too much either way. So I think even if you love color, you can pull this off, and even if you're a little bit more afraid of color, you can still rock this palette in my opinion. Okay, in 5th place, it honestly pains me to rank this one in 5th place because the next palette is also a cool tone palette, and I feel like these two are so close, but I'll explain why I rank that one in 4th place versus this one in 5th. I do love Cosmic Brushes. I love this color story. I think it's absolutely beautiful. One of the best palettes that has launched this year in my opinion. In the month of July, I did post a video talking about 22 of my favorite palettes of 2024 so far, and I did include these palettes in there. So as always, I feel like Cosmic Brushes or Cosmic Beauty checks all the boxes. Great color story, great formula, great price. So can't fault them for that. Okay, in 4th place is the Blend Bunny Longing palette. This one is so cute, and the reason I ranked it in 4th place is honestly because this has like cool tone greens, which the Cool Trails palette from Cosmic Beauty doesn't have, so I have to rank them somehow, and that's why I did it that way. This palette is so beautiful, so pigmented, and I love the theme. I just feel like it's a very grungy, kind of a fall vibe, but I'm not mad about it at all. I did see recently that Blend Bunny has changed their logo, and I'm so curious to see what we're getting next from them. But this palette is so beautiful. Chef's kiss. Okay, in 3rd place, I'm just ranking these 3 palettes together because they're 9-pan palettes, and I feel like it would be splitting hairs for me to try and decide like which one's my favorite. I guess if I had to pick, I still think the Fire palette was the best palette of these 3 as well, but I love these all for different reasons. I love the looks I did with each of them. This green palette is just like the perfect green 9-pan palette for me. So this is the earthy palette, and then we have the water palette, which is also just like a stunning blue palette. I mean, these shimmer shades are so good, and this is like the best formula I think Lethal Cosmetics has ever done. So I really hope they continue to do this formula in their other palettes. And of course the Fire palette, perfectly fiery. We did have another fiery palette that you're gonna see next, but I love these. I think this is so beautiful. I could see myself reaching for these on a daily basis. Okay, in 2nd place is the High Temp palette from Unearthly. Another beautiful fiery palette. I'm telling you guys, these mattes are so nice. They're so creamy, so blendable, just build up so nicely. I was so impressed with the mattes in this palette, especially because I love wearing red eyeshadow. So I had a lot of fun putting a look together with this palette. We also have 4 beautiful shimmers, and I think they did such a stellar job with this palette. I also really love the bronzer they came out with in this collection, and it's been really fun to see everything that Unearthly has been launching this year. Okay, 1st place for June goes to the Neutrals palette. I feel really funny holding up a neutral palette, but this is so good. I just love this type of neutral palette. I don't even know what else to say or how really to explain it, but the metallics in this palette just give it so much more. I don't know if this is a good way to explain it, but you can just see how much more dimension and just interesting colors there are in the Neutrals palette compared to something like the Golden palette. They're both great palettes, but I don't know why you would spend $60+ on the Natasha Denona when you can get something like this. Obviously, it's all preference and something that you have to decide, and you're gonna need to know, like, is this what you would consider wearable for whatever purpose you wear makeup? Like if you want to do bridal makeup or you want to do like everyday office makeup, maybe this might be too much depending on the environment that you're in. For me, honestly, like I wouldn't care, but also it's been a hot second since I had an office job. I mean, I was wearing colorful eye looks even when I worked at a office, so I guess to each their own. But this is a beautiful neutrals palette, and it definitely beat out all those other palettes for me because I think this is so stunning. So those are all the palettes I tried out in the month of June. Now let's go ahead and rank the palettes I tried out in the month of July. Okay, so I only have 8 palettes to rank from July, which again, I feel like is very light for me considering I try out a lot of eyeshadow every month. We're gonna start off with number 8, and I'm gonna give it to Sydney Grace. This is the Western Summer palette. This is such a fun color story. Of course, I had to use this one of the 4 palettes they came out with for their Christmas in July sale. This is the most me of the 4 that they launched, so I really had fun doing the look with this. It's something a little bit different. If you've seen the video, you'll know what I'm talking about, but Sydney Grace just makes some really great solid palettes that I think are perfect for everyday users. Like I said, with the number 1 palette of June, it just kind of depends on what you're looking for, every individual person, and what type of makeup they're into. So I just feel like if I put my head in somebody that wears makeup every day to like the office or something like that, I could see Sydney Grace being the perfect shadows for an occasion like that. Okay, in 7th place, I decided to give it to the All Shimmer palette from DD Signature. This is such a beautiful palette, and I have seen these shimmers in other palettes as well, like similar shades, so I don't know that this is like 100% unique, but I feel like it is unique in the sense that you're getting all of these beautiful shades in a nice palette, and the packaging is really cute and somewhat compact. So if you've been one of the holdouts that hasn't bought an all shimmer palette because you're balling on a budget, I would recommend checking this one out from DD Signature because it's really cute and the formula is really good as well. Okay, in 6th place is another palette that I would think is nice for like everyday, is the Botanical palette from Beauty Bay. Now I feel like I haven't bought a Beauty Bay palette in about, I want to say it's been like 2 years. So this is the first one that piqued my interest enough to buy it. It's probably because it had some green tones, and honestly they killed the marketing for this palette. I thought it was so beautiful. I loved the vibes of the whole situation. I really like the look that I ended up doing with this palette. So I think this is a very pretty palette. Is it better than the other palettes you're going to see in this video? Probably not, because the rest of them are so good. Like July was a few palettes, but they're all really good ones. Okay, in 5th place, I'm giving it to the Gourmand Girls Peach Perfect palette. I feel like this is another great everyday type palette. It has the similar vibes to the Botanic. It's like pops of color, but also you can do a really beautiful toned down look with this. I think that Gourmand Girls has continued to improve. It's so fun to see their packaging change, and the vibes and the color stories and the formulas have gotten so good. So I'm super, super excited to keep talking about this brand. I know they're launching 3 palettes very soon, and I believe they said they were going to send them to me, so I'm very excited to see them in person. And yeah, they are doing a really good job. So that's why this is in the 5th spot. Okay, in 4th place is the Currency palette by Davine Beauty, and this is my first time trying the brand, and honestly, when I saw the theme and the packaging, I was really expecting like more mermaid vibes, like more greens and blues, and then when I saw this palette, I was like, I don't know, it's like more of a big rainbow palette. Do I really want it? It also has a pressed glitter, which isn't my favorite, but I've never tried anything from this brand, and Deandra Nicole on Instagram said that they're good, so I trust her, and I was like, well, I gotta try it. So I did end up grabbing the palette, and I really like the look I created with it. So yeah, that is why it's in the 4th spot. Okay, so the top 3 are so beautiful. Oh my goodness, I had such a hard time. In 3rd place, I'm gonna give it to the Ensley Rain Flourish palette, and this is so cute. This is part of a duo you'll see the Flutter palette in my August ranking video because again, I got a little bit sick at the end of July and I was delayed with my filming, but I just posted 3 looks with these 2 palettes and had so much fun creating that video. So highly recommend checking it out. I think this is such a fun palette. Just the pop of color we needed in the month of July. Okay, in second place, this is so hard, but I decided. So in second place, we're gonna give it to the Adept Legends of Audra palette. This palette is so pretty. I really like the vibes of this palette. I think I saw on my community tab that some people said that they thought this was very chaotic, but honestly, I think it's more neutral vibes than you see in pictures. I can't remember what the swatches of this palette look like on the Adept website, but when I saw it in person, I was like, oh, this is like more toned down than I thought. These 2 marble shades are so stunning, but the rest of them are more kind of browns, goldeny shades, so they're actually really beautiful, and the holographic shades are so stunning as well. Overall, I think this is one of Adept's best palettes. I feel like they just keep making such amazing color stories. I just can't even handle it. I moved my Adept palettes because my bookshelf behind me was getting full, so I moved them to the bookshelf that's in front of me and I can see them now, and I've got quite a collection going and it makes me so happy. Okay, so since the Adept palette isn't in the #1 spot, can you guess the #1 palette of July? It goes to the Paleo palette from Cleona. Oh my goodness, what I would give to go back in time and find my Paleo palette. I mean, I know where it is. I sold it on Poshmark because I never in a million years thought they would bring these back. I feel like these palettes are not getting the hype they deserve because I feel like since 3 of them launched together and since all 3 of them are quite pricey, people are really not hyping these up, but they're so beautiful and you don't have to buy them. I mean, if you don't want to, of course, or if you want to, you can just get one and try them out, but they're so good. Great formula. Color story is so nice. Like, I don't remember loving the original Paleo as much as I like this one, so I don't know. Maybe I forgot how great it was, but I feel like this is better. I really like the new updated packaging. It doesn't feel as fragile as the original ones, and I feel it in my soul that I'm gonna love the Oceano palette, so I really, really, really need to play with that one. I just haven't had a chance yet because it's been so busy. August has been so busy in the best way possible. So many new products, so many new brands to test out. So I am behind, but I'm trying my best to catch up. Anyways, this palette is stunning. If you get a chance to see the look I created with it, highly recommend checking it out. Also, any other creators, but I had to give this the #1. So I love it so, so much. And I love that they were like, here's 3 palettes. Have fun with that. Okay, so that is it for my recent rankings. I know it's kind of different to do 2 months in one video, but I didn't want to like drag it out even more than I already had. So we'll see you guys in October for a fresh rankings. And yeah, that's it. Let me know what your favorite palette of the moment is. I love hearing from you guys. If you want to see this look, it might be up already or it's coming up. It's a new brand. Yeah, other than that, giveaway is in the description box if you want to go ahead and enter. And I will see you guys in another video very, very soon. Bye!